What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another example chart from Exotic Astrology. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, then please subscribe to it. And what are we going to discuss today? Today, we are with the chart of the main man. He is the reason of the existence of this place where I am situated currently, or rather I would say he is the cause of the destruction of the place where I am situated currently. He is none other than Adolf Hitler, the famous Hitler who has gone down in the pages of history books from India to Pakistan to the United States. Okay, so today we shall discuss about the chart of Adolf Hitler. We shall see the different combinations and placements of planets and conjunctions and aspects which led him to become who he is, or rather giving an indication of who actually he is, because the chart is not the cause of the person. The person's reflection is the chart, okay? And similarly, the chart is also the reflection of the person, vice versa. Now, first of all, what do we need to check? We need to check the placement of the sun, moon, and the lord of the ascendant, okay? So now, this is the first house, as you all know. Again, this is not the seventh house, okay? This is number sign Libra. This is first house, okay? Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10, 11, 12. I'm again and again repeating this numbering scheme because most of you, including me, we have done blunders in the initial days of our astrological training, right? So to avoid such pitfalls, I keep doing the numbering again and again. Now, and yes, before beginning, as I say, God is there with you all the time. Just look to Him and He will save you from people like Hitler. Okay, so here, what do you see? He is a Libra ascendant. Okay, number 7 is right there in the Lagna itself. Okay, so his life focus will be showing himself to other people. And why am I saying this? Because the Lord of the ascendant, which is Venus, has gone to the seventh house, okay, and it is retrograde in 24 degrees. Now, Venus is the lord of the ascendant. That means the person, his body has gone into the house of other people, the seventh house, okay. And which sign is it? It is in the sign of Aries, which is the sign of the self, the original first house of the zodiac. So he will always focus on showing himself to the others, okay, and doing things in a way by which he and his image can gain popularity, okay. Now, this is in a retrograde position. Venus is retrograde here because this R is written here. So whenever a planet is retrograde, especially if it is the lord of the ascendant, then the ideals related to that planet or the houses which the planet is ruling can be compromised by the person, okay. So for example, here Venus is the lord of the first house. First house is the house of intelligence, okay, your direction in life, your buddhi, as you say na. Buddhi not necessarily means mundane intelligence. It also means your way of thinking, the way how you see life, okay. So when the Lagnesh or the ascendant lord is retrograde, it can show that a person, his morals are compromised here, okay. He will compromise on his morals, and his ability to think what is right and wrong can be challenged certain times, or this can lead to over obsession, okay. Whatever he thinks is right, he doesn't listen to anybody, well, which was definitely the case with Hitler, okay. Had he not attacked Russia in the winter, well, history would have been something else today, probably. Even after getting repeated suggestions from his generals and field marshals, he made the decision of attacking Russia. He made the blunder of attacking Russia during the winters, okay. So there comes this obsession, and it is the sign of Aries, which means he only does what he wants to do, okay. Now, There's a lot of power in this chart. How? Because Sun is in the sign of Aries. Sun is exalted here, and if you see the degrees, 8 degree 35 minutes, which means it is nearest to its peak exaltation in 8 to 10 degrees. Okay, so his what does Sun represent? Sun represents your commitment. Okay, the what you think is right and wrong. It is somewhat the significator of the lagna, because it is one of the significators of the lagna. Yes, Mars represents the body and Sun is the significator of the first house. So Sun exalted means that the person has very high ideals of what he thinks is right and what is wrong. Okay, and what he wants to achieve in life. Okay, he is very determined, very goal oriented, very much focused. Okay, always working towards what he wants to achieve in life. Okay, and there is a lot of determination, a lot of strength, a lot of power, a lot of willpower. Okay, and a lot of energy behind this, because Sun is in its exaltation sign in Aries. Okay, and as if this was less, Mars, the planet of fire and aggression, is in the sign of Aries. It is in its own sign, forming a very powerful Mahapurush Yoga here, named as Ruchak Mahapurush Yoga, about which we will talk later. Okay, if Mars is situated in the sign of Aries or Scorpio or Capricorn in these four houses, the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th, then Ruchak Mahapurush Yoga is formed, which makes a person very brutal, authoritative, dominating, etc. The traits of Mars gets exemplified to a very huge extent. Okay, and as if this was less, it is also sitting with Sun. See, so Sun and Mars are together, so which means a lot of fire, a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of willingness to do things in life. This chart is the chart of a person who is very progressive. Okay, who always sees ahead. Okay, now the important thing to be noticed here is the planet Mercury is in the seventh house. Okay, Mercury gets directional strength in the seventh, in the first house, in the Lagna, because first house is the head. Okay, we will discuss about the directional strengths later, which is referred to as Digbala. Okay, so whenever a planet is sitting opposite to the Digbala house, which means opposite of the first house is the seventh house, it means the planet is in Dikshunya. Okay, so Digbala means the planet is very well situated in that house, the blessings of that direction. Okay, the first house represents the east. Okay, so the blessings of the east is there, and the sun rises in the east. Okay, and it is very good to study in the morning. That is why, because Mercury and Jupiter both get its Digbala in the first house. So whenever a planet is in the opposite of the house of Digbala, it is known as Dikshunya, which means that the person will make wrong choices related to that planet. Okay, so what is Mercury? Mercury is the significator of decisions. Okay, so there will be certain situations in his life where he will definitely end up making blunders. Okay, that is confirmed in this chart because Mercury is sitting in the seventh house. Okay, now at the same time, Mercury in the seventh house also makes the person very good with negotiations, etc. Okay, because seventh house is the house of negotiations. So Mercury being in the seventh house, he could very easily negotiate his terms, conditions, etc. with people. And because this is with Sun, Mars, and Venus, and Mercury, Venus are also natural friends, so which gives a very good image to the person. Okay, if Mercury, Venus are together, because the person is very flamboyant by nature. Okay, but the flamboyance will be reduced because of the presence of the two fiery planets also. So overall, these four planets simply means that a person who is very aggressive, very headstrong, and he is ready to do whatever it takes to achieve his goal. Okay, and he will do that with compromise of his own ideals. Why? Because the lord of the ascendant, Venus, is retrograde. Okay, I will explain what is retrograde later, but retrograde simply means that in compared to the earth, the planet is moving backwards, okay, which means the houses or the significations which the planet rules is not in a stable position. It means instability, okay. So Venus also signifies the wife, okay, women, and because it is also retrograde here, apart from being the lord of the ascendant, okay, as a natural significator of marriage, he did not have a very good relationship with his wife or with his secretary or with his girlfriend or whatever you want to name that person as, okay. Well, that's still a controversy who she was. And at all, if at all she was his wife or not, so I am not going to delve into that controversy here, but you can see some issue there with Venus, yes, because of its retrograde motion, and that too it is conjunct with fiery planet. So Venus is a watery planet, okay. Water, why? Because it signifies emotions, love, comfort, nourishment, home, okay. Now when it is with fiery planets, what happens? Like Sun and Mars, the water of the planet Venus gets extinguished, okay. Now here fortunately Venus is very away from the sun, okay. It is, sun is in 8 degrees and Venus is in 24 degrees, but unfortunately Venus is very close to Mars, okay. It is almost 4 degrees, almost it is in the same degree, sorry, it is in the same degree, almost it is almost hitting each other. So you can see the, and Mars Venus people are very much aggressive in matters of romance and passionate in terms of relationships in the beginning, and then slowly the water dies out. It is like you heat a pan in South India, they make dosas, okay. So the pan is very hot, okay, then you suddenly put some water, the water is consumed immediately. So Mars Venus, it is something like that, okay. There's a lot of passion, a lot of energy, a lot of vigor, a lot of romance in the beginning, but as soon as the romance is gone, the water of Venus is extinguished, okay. So that is a predicament here in this chart. Apart from this, there are 4 planets in the 7th house, which also tells me that this person is going to earn a lot of name and fame in this life, okay. He is going to be tremendously famous, okay. And also because 8th house also represents fame, because 8th house is also the house of the dead, okay. It represents things where people remember you after your death, okay, or how people remember you. Those things can also be seen here, and especially if the eighth lord is well placed, okay, or if the eighth house has planets which are strong, okay, then we can say, or if the eighth lord is in conjunction with planets which are strong, then we can say that the person will be remembered after his death, okay. Now here, who is the eighth lord? Number 2 is here in the 8th house. This is the 8th house, right? This is 7th house, this is 8th house. So the sign is Taurus, number 2. So ruler is Venus, okay. So Venus is in the 7th house, okay, and 7th house is originally the house of Libra, okay, of Venus, his own house. So Venus likes to sit there in the 7th house. Now this is with a Mars which is forming Ruchak Mahapurush Yoga, and it is also with an exalted Sun, okay, and with his friend Mercury, okay. So Venus with Sun Mars may not be very good for relationships, which definitely did not work out in his case, okay. But for, and it is also the Lagna Lord, so whenever the 8th Lord is connected to the Lagna Lord, then things increase, okay. Things increase, I mean to say the probability of his remembrance after his death increases, because Lagna is the person and 8th house is he after he dies. So in case of a Libra ascendant, the person becomes the Lagnesh, the lord of the ascendant, and the lord of the 8th house is same, okay. So that is why there are many Libra ascendants who are very famous, okay. For example, Mahatma Gandhi is also Libra ascendant, and by famous I mean famous after death, okay. Now people will tell, no, this is just statistics, or this is just exception, okay, maybe, but there are other yogas also which support it, okay, because the planet which is ruling the first house and the 8th house is the same, okay, Venus. So depending on the positioning of Venus, the things can either improve drastically or it can go down drastically. Okay, so here Venus is placed with these two planets which are very powerful in these houses. Okay, although Sun is not very strong in the seventh house, but it is exalted here. Okay, and Sun in the seventh simply means that the person wants to show himself to the others. Okay, and it can create issues in marriage. And also Mars is in the seventh house here, which is a famous dosha in astrology known as the Manglik dosha. Okay, therefore what we can conclude from here is that he will make some blunders because Mercury is in dikshunya position. Okay, and apart from this, his ideals will be compromised. For name and fame, he will do anything and everything because the Lord of the Ascendant is retrograde, and Ascendant represents your ideals, okay? Your thinking, your thought process. And Sun, Mars, very aggressive personality, okay? Now, the peculiar thing here is the presence of Rahu in the ninth house, okay? There are certain positions for planets which are known as Maranakaraka sthans. Okay, Maranakaraka means the place where the planet dies. Okay, so if you carefully observe here, there are two planets which are in Maranakaraka sthan. Okay, one is Jupiter in the third house, and the other is Rahu in the ninth house. Okay, why does Rahu die in the ninth house? Because Rahu is the devil. Okay, so you are telling the devil to go and chant the name of God, okay, to go to the church, okay, because ninth house is the house of God, gurus, religion, scriptures. Okay, so when Rahu goes into the ninth house, he destroys the ninth house, by which I mean to say that there are peculiar things about religion and spirituality which he imbibes into himself. Okay, why I am saying into himself? Because Rahu from the ninth house aspects the Lagna. Okay, so which means that there will be something very peculiar in his mind about religion, about God, about spirituality. Okay, and because Rahu is in the sign of Gemini, okay, it is exalted here. Rahu gets exalted in Gemini. That is why this trait which he has will be very, very strong, and he will pursue this thing aggressively. Okay, had Rahu been in a fire sign or in a water sign where it gets weak or debilitated, okay, then he would not be very strong in this matter. In this matter, I mean to say that regarding what Rahu gives in the ninth house, which means something weird about religion, okay, and this is very true because he had this conception that Jews are the cause of the misfortune of this world or of Germany or of Europe, okay, and so they should be killed right away. Yes, he made them second class citizens, and everybody knows about the Holocaust. What a brutal scenario that was. Thousands and lakhs of people killed in gas chambers. Everybody knows about it. Okay, I need not give an introduction about it. And also Jupiter here, although it is in the sign of Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius Jupiter means that the person is very fixed with his ideals, but the predicament is it is in the third house, which is the sign of Gemini. Okay, where Jupiter dies actually. Dies, I mean to say that it is the Marnakaraka sthan for Jupiter. So here the funny part is it is in Sagittarius in own sign, but house wise it is dead. So this means that the person will be very strong with his ideals, okay, but it will be for the wrong reasons. Do you understand how I study this chart? So Hitler was very strong. He said, and because Jupiter is connected with Rahu Ketu, so something weird about religion will be there. Okay, and as if this was less, his moon, okay, which is the significator of his mind, is also there in Sagittarius. Okay, so his concept about religion and spirituality, and especially about the Jews, okay, this was very unorthodox, and he was personally an atheist, if I'm not wrong. Although there are some controversies about this, some say that he was to some extent a believer of Christianity, but I don't think that is true. Okay, because Moon and Jupiter both are the significators of spirituality, because Moon is the mind, okay, and Jupiter itself represents spirituality. They are connected with this Ketu and Rahu, okay, because they are in the third house. So although it is in the sign of Sagittarius, now because of this, what happened, he was very much strong with what he thought was right and wrong, okay. And this Jupiter from the third house is aspecting the seventh house, okay. And wherever Jupiter aspects, Jupiter expands, okay. So he expanded the seventh house of name and fame, etc., etc. Well, there's another predicament in this chart, that is, Jupiter for a Libra ascendant is considered to be something known as a functional malefic, okay, which means he's the ruler of two malefic houses, which means his aspects may not be that great, okay, apart from the natural significations of Jupiter. For example, here Jupiter is ruling the third house, because third house has the sign Sagittarius and sixth house has the sign Pisces, okay. So sixth house is what? Trials, tribulations, quarrels, fights, deceits, okay. All these things are enemies, sixth house, okay. So Jupiter from the third house is also the house of war, okay. Third house has Jupiter. So from there, he is aspecting the seventh house where his Lagnesh is placed, okay, and Sun, Mars, and all these planets are placed. So because of this, the traits of the sixth house came into the seventh house, okay, and that is why his whole life was centered around fighting, killing, centered around enemies, because sixth house is representing enemies. And before saying about Jupiter, I forgot to say that why is third house considered to be a Maranakarak situation for Jupiter, because third house is the house of courage, okay. And when Jupiter sits there, the person, because Jupiter represents humility, because when you go towards spirituality, you have to be humble in front of God and your gurus, okay. But when Jupiter sits in the third house, because it is the house which is having Mars as the significator, okay, and because of that, the person has difficulty bowing down to his guru, accepting what the guru says, accepting what God has said. These people are those people who say that no, I don't believe on God, or even if I believe, I will do it on my own terms, okay. So because of that, there is a predicament with Jupiter in the third, okay. And also third house is originally the sign of Gemini, which is eighth from the eighth house of Scorpio, okay. So eighth from eighth is the third, okay. So Scorpio is the original eighth house of sexuality, prostitution, etc., sexual encounters behind the scenes. And eighth from that is the sign of Gemini, okay. And if you see the sign of Gemini, it is two people uniting there, meeting. So because of that, there is the energy of overindulgence in sexuality in the third house, okay. Now this does not mean that Hitler would have indulged, or maybe he would have indulged, that we do not know, so we cannot comment on that. But what happens is when Jupiter, the planet of wisdom and spirituality, goes there, okay, then the aspect of religion and spirituality and his connection to divine beings, that is completely destroyed, okay. And then the person loses his morals and he glides down to lower states by doing abominable activities. Now here Jupiter is with Moon. This is also known as a famous yoga in astrology. It is known as Gajakesri Yoga, okay. Gajakesri Yoga means the person is extremely focused and very much determined and very headstrong and very positive about what he wants to do, okay. Which Hitler definitely was, okay. And also you can see in the charts of great leaders, whenever they have had Moon in the third house, okay, because third house is the house of war, okay, there has been issues with the public who they are controlling, okay. There's another president whose name I will not name, of USA, who has Moon in the third house, and we all know what happened after he became the president, okay. United States was in perpetual war with countries, okay. Anyways, that's a deviation, I'll not go to that, because Moon represents the public, okay, who you are ruling, okay. And when Moon sits in the third house and as if this was less, now see there's this Gaj Kesari yoga, which is supposedly to be a positive yoga, but here it is not acting that way because of two reasons. First reason is, now Gaj Kesari yoga is acting, he is very headstrong, but I'm saying the overall result of this Gaj Kesari yoga is not very positive because of two reasons. First reason is Jupiter is in a precarious state in the third house with Ketu, okay. And second reason is, here Jupiter is the ruler of the sixth house, okay, and the ruler of the third house, which third house is also what, struggles, difficulties, hard work, etc., and sixth house is enemies, fights. So now he was very determined towards fighting people. So now it's up to you. You call this as good or you call this as bad, and I would leave it up to you. Okay, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and lastly, I would say the placement of Saturn, which is there in the 10th house. Okay, now what is Saturn? Saturn represents your structure, growth, duty, commitment. Okay, your ability to do hard work, persistence. Okay, all these things are represented by Saturn. Okay, now here Saturn is also the fourth lord, and also it is the fifth lord of position. Okay, because fifth house is the eighth from the 10th house. Okay, so when the person gets promoted, what happens? He gets a new job. Okay, it is not a new job, but it is like getting a new job. Yes, so 8th house is death and rebirth. So from the 10th, if you count 8 places, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, okay, so it is the fifth house. So fifth house can represent denials of job, or it can represent promotions depending on the dignity. Okay, and here Saturn especially is a yoga karaka planet for Libra Lagna, because Saturn, I will discuss about yoga karakas later, but yoga karaka simply means a planet who is very auspicious for the chart. Okay, and here Saturn is a yoga karaka because it is ruling the one of the kendras, which is the fourth house, and another trikona, because the sign of Capricorn and Aquarius is falling in the fourth house and the fifth house. Fourth house is a kendra and fifth house is a trikona. So whenever any planet rules simultaneously a kendra and a trikona, it is considered to be a yoga karaka. Yoga means to give addition, to bless, okay, to do good for the chart. He is considered to be the best friend of the lord of the ascendant, which is Venus. Okay, and that is why Venus and Saturn are best friends. Okay, because they support each other's agendas. Okay, now here Venus is in the 7th house, as you have seen. Okay, and Saturn is in the 10th house. So Saturn from the 10th house is also aspecting Venus with its 10th aspect, because 10th from the 10th house is the 7th house. Okay, so that means that this person will have the blessings of Saturn, because Saturn is yoga karaka for this chart and Saturn is aspecting Venus. So it means that the traits of Saturn, okay, which means what, duty, commitment, structure, discipline, which is very much needed for a Libra ascendant, because Saturn gets exalted in the Lagna, because Saturn gets exalted in Libra, right? So connection of Saturn Venus in a Libra ascendant chart is considered to be very good. Okay, well, but here the things are not very good, because Saturn is not in a very good sign, because it is in a sign of detriment, which is considered to be opposite of his own sign, because Capricorn is his own sign and then he's sitting opposite. It is like you are sitting outside of your home, you are looking to your home. Okay. And because Saturn is also a natural malefic, it is aspecting his fourth house. Okay, so Hitler was originally not from Germany, right? He came into Germany later. He was not from Germany originally. So this aspect of Saturn into his fourth house separated him from his homeland. Okay, and although it is the fourth lord, but still it is ultimately a natural malefic, so its effects will be there irrespective of whatever you say. Okay, and Saturn here is also aspecting Sun with its 10th aspect. Okay, now whenever Saturn aspects Sun, what happens? the person can feel very low about himself, okay, or herself. So because of this, what can happen? Now see, sun is exalted here, okay. It is like a person who has a machine gun, okay, but he is in a suppressed state of not being able to use it because Saturn is subduing the sun, okay. So when you do that, what happens? He will go on shooting people recklessly, right, left. You see, the negative part of exaltation comes out here. Had Sun been in Libra and Saturn been in Capricorn, aspected by Saturn, okay, and then Sun is naturally weak. You can't do anything there in Libra. But here Sun is exalted. So Sun is like, yes, man, I'm going to do whatever I want. But now Saturn is telling, my dear sir, but I think you can't do this, okay. And then Sun says, oh, you are telling me I can't do this? Wait, I will prove it to you, okay. So whenever a planet is exalted and under affliction, it is a serious problem. Because the planet feels the need to prove itself, okay, especially when it is under affliction of planet like Saturn, which signifies troubles and denials, okay. Suppressing mentality comes, okay, when Saturn aspects some planet, okay. And because Saturn also aspects Venus here, so his marriage was also delayed, and that itself is a question that whether he got married or not, okay. And whenever Saturn aspects Mercury, the person makes very much planned, and his actions are very much planned and well executed, okay, because Mercury signifies our planning abilities, etc. But again, because it is in Dikshunya, there is a predicament here with Mercury, so he's likely to make wrong decisions, okay. And Saturn, Mars are aspecting each other here. Saturn aspects Mars with its 10th aspect, and Mars aspects Saturn with its 4th aspect, okay. So this makes the person very hardworking, and this is also a predicament because it is like pressing the accelerator and the brake simultaneously, okay. What happens? There's a lot of friction, there's a lot of turmoil inside, okay. So there's a lot of hard work which is actually needed to do, okay. So whenever people say that Saturn Mars combination or mutual aspect is good, I always ask, do you want to be hardworking, sir? People will say that, oh, this person is very hardworking, but which also means that nobody naturally wants to be hardworking, which means you will be forced to work hard. Yes, so it is a good yoga, definitely, but you have to work very much in life, okay. Otherwise you will not get things easily the way others get it, okay. And if you see that Saturn here is situated in the 10th house, so that is why his rise was from a very humble background, okay. He was not belonging to a political family, or he was not belonging to a government family, but because Saturn represents the poor class, okay, the poverty stricken people. So, and in fact his parents were even planning to commit suicide, but due to some reason they decided that let us not commit, okay. So you can see that when Saturn aspects the Lagna Lord, so there can be a lot of struggles in the beginning days, okay, of his life. And from humble beginning his status rises, because 10th house is the house of status, okay. And the lord of the 10th house, moon, is in the 3rd house of war, so his whole life was battling with war. And especially it is with Jupiter, the significator of spirituality, okay. So his one of the things because of which he will be remembered, because 10th house is also karma, okay. One of the things because of which he will be remembered is because of something related to religion which he had done, okay, which I already said and we all know, okay. And that is synchronous with the presence of Rahu in the 9th house, okay. So Rahu in the 9th house told him that, oh, these Jews are useless, they are good for nothing, just kill them, make them secondary citizens and keep them, okay, just exploit them, okay. And this aspects the Lagna also, so there are a lot of times there's these feelings of deceit, hatred, anger, and betraying somebody, okay. And at the end, that's the funny part here, at the end when Hitler died, he spoke to his closest nearby people, and he said that he feels that the Jews have cheated him. So there you go, Rahu aspecting the Lagna, the person feels cheated. Okay, so that is it from my side. Moon Ketu conjunction, weird weird mental thoughts, a person who is clouded, okay, and a person who feels lost, and in that he decides to do whatever he want. Okay, so confusion mentally, that is also seen here. And this Gajakesri yoga not working out ultimately in a very positive way. Okay, so ultimately if you want to summarize this chart, it's a very 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 powerful chart, very strong chart, but only if it was used in a proper direction. Okay, if Rahu would be somewhere else, perhaps things would have been much better. But anyways, that's history for all of us. We have to just see these charts and understand how we can see from the sun, moon, and the lord of the ascendant. Okay, sun and ascendant lord are in the seventh house of other people, so focusing on other people, trying to control them. Sun is controllership, authority, and moon is in the third house of war. Okay, so that is it from my side. If you have any questions, queries, and comments related to this video, then please post it in the comments, or else until next time, bye bye, see you.